This is my video on visibility and why I'm choosing to be visible as a transgendered person. So, visibility for me, I'm choosing to be open and honest, I guess, authentic as a transgender person in the community, and open to talking and educating people about that. That's in my community, that would be with family, friends, social media, sharing intimate parts of my journey with people on social media, also with people in my clinic, so the patients that I treat, and the students that I teach, and the academics that I work with at the uni. So I'm open about being a transgender person, open about the journey that I'm on, um, and that's really helped me as a person grow and develop, and by sharing my story with others, and hoping that by being visible it will have some impact on others as well. So one of the reasons why I'm choosing to be visible is because when I was 20 to 23, I was having an identity crisis. I mean, I had an identity crisis most of my life, but I was in the thick of it at 20 to 23, and I used to watch a lot of videos on female to male transgendered people, and I used to watch them in sharing their journey, and that really helped me get through that time. I didn't realize it at the time. I was just obsessed with watching people's trans journeys, but looking back and with the current context that I have, it really was a lifeline for me to watch other people's journeys and to see them transform and change themselves, and to see them be able to grant themselves what they needed to be authentically themselves. And so it gave me a lifeline. It was proof that you could change. And whilst I, at the time, felt incapacitated to do that, I had proof in my life somewhere that it was possible. And so I basically, now that I mean, I that was 20 to 23. I was watching videos. I didn't come out to myself. I didn't come to accept the fact that I was transgender until I was about 27, and then I didn't start transitioning medically until I was 29. So for me, it was a long period of time before I got here. And so basically, I want to give back. I want to be able to show my journey, my unique health journey in this epic time of self discovery, and want to share the surgeries that I've been able to grant myself to become myself, the medications, and how I've dealt with that, and in a hope to demonstrate as well, give back to other trans people who may be watching this, or maybe in need of a lifeline as well. So I kind of want to demonstrate that it's possible, even for people like me who are just so caught up and just so wrapped up in denial and no self esteem, just no sense of self, and that you can grow into who you need to be to live in this world. So that's part of the reason why I'm choosing to be visible. Another reason I'm choosing to be visible is because transgender people inherently are people, and they're born with the same capacity as everybody else on the planet. They're just born into a minority, and they're born, unfortunately, into a they're born into a gender, they're born into a complex that um, means that they are more likely to be marginalized in certain groups of people in certain countries. They're more likely to experience stigma, they're more likely to experience discrimination. There's no open channel for transgendered people from birth to live like a normal privileged life. And so because of that, they have a unique journey, but at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, they're people with the same capacity as everybody else. Unfortunately, their life experience may impact that capacity. And so I feel like what's really amazing about people sharing their journeys is that they show the world that transgender people are just people, and they need or do certain things in their life to be able to live optimally and to perform optimally and to be able to give and help and receive like everybody else. And so I believe that by sharing a story of the trans experience individually, we can make it relatable to people who have no idea what the trans experience is, have never met a transgender person before. I believe that it breaks down barriers between cisgendered people, straight people, gay people, trans people, intersex people. It gives people someone to relate to. It gives people a role model. breaks down big barriers between people who have not experienced trans experience and people who have. It helps other trans people gain access to help that they need. It gives them, again, someone to relate to, stories to relate to, and access to care they need to help them understand themselves. Also, access to care they might need within that country, like specific surgeons or ways to get top surgery, or ways to change your name, or ways to change gender, and things like that within the country. So it gives people like a community, which is amazing. I also believe that being visible helps to challenge ignorance, challenges transphobia by creating like a more aware society. Because if you know someone who's trans, you know their experience, you can understand them, and so you can educate others. And at the end of the day, like I said, we're all people. We all have different life experiences, and if we tell our stories with each other, we can create awareness, which is really important, especially for transgender people because we are a minority and we have been stigmatized. And now we're in a world where we can share our story and people can understand us. The reason why this is important is because transgendered people are normal or neurotypical, or even if they're not neurotypical, they have the same capacity as others. And just because their lifestyle or their challenges in their life may change that capacity, it doesn't mean they should be treated any differently. And so, this awareness that can grow within society can create channels for future generations that make it easier for them to access the care and help they need. Because it's more of an accepting society. And so when other people can accept the transgender experience, the transgendered person can accept their own experience either sooner or at the right time or without as much angst. Okay. I also think that visibility helps to show people that it's possible to do this. I was an extremely tied up crisis person in major denial for most of my life about myself, and I believed I had no access, had no choices, and I can show people that you can still do this even if you feel like that. Okay, the other thing, transgender people are marginalised and are a minority, and this is due to misunderstanding. Okay, transgenderedness is somewhere on this massive gender spectrum. I'm going to do another video on that. Okay, and it's important to be recognised as their own kind of gender. It's important to educate people, help people understand the unique challenges that face transgender people so that access to healthcare improves. Also, access to self-development improves. The other reason why, some stats to back this up, so transgender people are marginalised and they are a minority, and they have unique experiences that separate them, us, from other parts of the community, other people within the community. Transgender people face a lot of challenges. Transgender people, because of this, their capacity can be decreased, and this capacity that is decreased can be expressed in lots of ways. Transgender people are more likely to experience psychological distress than anyone else in the community. And when I say anyone else, I mean the general population and other sexual and gender diverse people. Transgender people are 11 times more likely to commit suicide than the general population, and 18 times more likely to have suicide ideation than the general population. They're also 6.5 times more likely to self-harm than the general population, and 57.2% of transgender people were diagnosed with depression at least once in their lifetime. So, that's what makes a group of people a minority, or a group of people marginalised, apart from the discrimination. Okay, so because of this, transgender people become partly what some of the most vulnerable people in our society, in our global society. And so we have a responsibility. Anyone with privilege has a responsibility to take care of people that are underprivileged in their society. Obviously, a more diverse society is better for everyone, okay? Because we can help these people that have the same capacity as everyone else live a better life, live optimally, and lower these levels of psychological distress. I think that the psychological distress partially comes from gender dysphoria, which is part of parcel of being born in the wrong body. I also think this levels of psychological distress come from stigmatism and the discrimination that comes along with misunderstanding and ignorance in the general population about what transgender is. And transgender for a long time has been the butt of many jokes in movies. Um, it's been misunderstood in the sense that it's been labeled as a psychological disease, or it's been labeled as a mutation, a mutilation, or whatever. And so the violence that comes from that is incredible. The discrimination that comes from that is ridiculous. And what it does to people is it limits their ability to become employed. It limits their ability to study. It limits their ability to be alive. It limits their ability to have strong connections with people in their community or people in their family or partners. And it also makes the world a really fucking scary place. So, being transgendered and being visible is a risk. It's a risk for people. And so, for me, I'm lucky that I have the access that I have to healthcare, the access that I've had in the past to education, and that I still have now. And I'm blessed to have an incredible support system around me in my community of patients, in my community of academics, in my family, and in my social media community. And so, because I have this base, I have a really strong support system to be visible to others. And I'm not going to lie, I'm an incredibly private person generally. I'm a pure introvert, but this is really important because we need to change. We need to change the way people look at other transgendered people or other gender diverse people in general. So what am I getting at with this? What I'm getting at is being visible as a transgender person has taught me a few things. It's taught me to be the person that I needed when I was growing up as a gender diverse person, being the person that I needed when I was growing up as an anxious, depressed, and suicidal at times person, being a role model for myself and showing my journey, my unique journey as a person, finding themselves and owning their capacity and living optimally. And so I feel like it's partly my role in that level of privilege that I have now to give back. So anyway, this is my probably really poorly articulated video on visibility and why I'm choosing to be visible. And as always, thanks for listening and thanks for your feedback. Okay, see ya.